order and welcome everyone here. I'm filling in obviously for the warden, who is still away on honeymoon and not sure just when he's coming back, but we'll find that out when he arrives, I guess. I hope everyone had a good holiday season and a Christmas season. It's always good to get back into the routine of things, but it's also great to have that little bit of time off over Christmas. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. Our agenda is before you, and we'll call the meeting to order, and I'll ask for the roll call.
Mr. Buckle?
Present.
Mrs. Eady?
Present.
Mr. Eagleson?
Present.
Mr. Ingalls?
Present.
Ms. Jackson? Mr. McKeever? Mr. Smith? Mr. Gamble?
I ask as well if any member of County Council has a declaration of pecuniary interest, they declare it now or at the appropriate time. Seeing none, we'll move on to the confirmation of council minutes.
Moved by Mr. McKeever, seconded by Mr. Eagleson, that the minutes of the December 3rd, 2015 council session be adopted as circulated.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Communications.
Communications were circulated with the agenda. There are no further communications.
And this morning we have two delegations, and I'm going to call on representatives from the Listowel Wingham Hospital Alliance Capital Campaign, Mr. Carl Ellis and Mr. Bernie Bailey. Welcome to County Council, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate your time this morning to hear a presentation. I'm Carl Ellis. I'm the CEO of the Wingham District Hospital, and while we're located in North Huron, we do serve a large number of residents in a large swath of geography in the southern part of Bruce County, so thought it important to keep Bruce County residents informed. Just give me a minute till we... There, that's better. A number of initiatives underway in the Wingham District Hospital. The biggest part of it is a renovation that's been approved by the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care, and that renovation is going to include our ambulatory care, our outpatient clinics, improvements to our oncology, our day surgery, inpatient, and pharmacy and sterilization departments. We were also looking to improve our accessibility within the building. It was built in parts of it in the early 1950s, so you can imagine some of the challenges we've got with that, and creating rehab services. Parts of the building were actually kind of built backwards. We've got a bunch of administrative and support services at the front of the building and patient services out to the wings, and we're going to fix that. We're going to bring the patient services out to the front door where they belong, and move our boardroom and some other things to the wings. At the same time, we have to replace our diagnostic imaging equipment, and something that we think is rather exciting is the creation of a community health campus in the former Wingham Public School, a vacated school immediately across the road from the hospital, and we're going to turn that into offices for our physicians and family health team, but also renting out space, the former classrooms, to a variety of healthcare providers, so that the Huron County Public Health is located there now. One Care Community and Home Care Support Services is in there, and we've got 3 other tenants that are designing space there, and we'll disclose them when we have leases. I'll just describe those 3 projects briefly. Redeveloping about 15,000 square feet of the hospital. That's a significant portion of the hospital. The ministry wouldn't let us expand beyond the existing walls, so we've had to be creative in terms of space. And as I mentioned, the age of the hospital means that when we're designing new space, it takes up more area than it was originally constructed. So our oncology department, for instance, is about 3 times the size of the former space that it was in. And there's a number of other departments there that are increasing. I won't go through all of the details on the slides. I understand you have the opportunity to get copies of them later. The health campus, as I described, taking the former gymnasium and turning it into a medical clinic. We've got a pharmacy that's planned as part of that, and it helps us relieve some of that space issue in the hospital because it is immediately across the road. We can actually decant some things into the former school and open up some elbow room in the hospital for those renovated departments. As I described earlier, the oncology and pharmacy right now, our oncology and pharmacy are on different floors, and the new plan has oncology and pharmacy side by side. Pharmacy does the mixtures for chemotherapy treatments, and rather than transporting those hazardous drugs throughout the hospital, having them side by side is going to be important for us in the future. Our sterilization department is in the oldest section of the building. Right now it's all in one room, and you really should have 3 rooms. You should have one room for the dirty, one to do the cleaning, and one to pack and store, and so we'll fix that deficit with our renovations. Creating a team station, we've got 3 small spaces on our inpatient area right now, and going to consolidate that into one and create some space for some monitored beds and a more modern team station. The old ones were designed before we had computers and fax machines and some days I say telephones. But a surgical suite and recovery, right now our patient experience is not particularly friendly. So you come in on the first floor and register, you go up to the second floor to prepare for your procedure, you go up to the third floor for the procedure and post-procedure recovery, and then back down to the second floor to find your clothes and head home. And so we're going to do that all on one floor. You'll come into the third floor and have your procedure and recovery and head home from there. So improving the patient experience. Our ORs are in the oldest section of the building as well, built in the early 1950s and in need of improving that space. Ambulatory care clinics for small and rural hospitals. We talk less about how many beds we have now and more about visiting specialists and procedures that we can do in the hospital on a walk-in day procedure basis. We don't really have space for that now. We shoehorn it into the back of our emergency department, so we're going to create ambulatory care space for visiting specialists, and this is a really important aspect of the project for a rural hospital. Improving accessibility. I think we were one of the only hospitals that had a set of steps up to our front door, and we've created a ramp and improved the accessibility of that. So how are we going to pay for all of this? Well, the ministry portion of the project, the ministry will pay for 90% of bricks and mortar, but they only pay for 10%, or sorry, we have to come up with the 10% in the community, and they don't pay for any of the equipment. So that's all a part of a community campaign. The diagnostic imaging equipment is part of the community campaign. And then the work that we're doing in the former school is being supported by a community campaign. We've got a loan arranged, and the rental income from the other lessees will subsidize some of the ongoing operating costs. So it's a little creative, but we're hopeful that it comes together. Some stats there in terms of the impact of the hospital, and as I mentioned, the area that we serve includes a good chunk of Bruce County. In that chemotherapy clinic, about 30% of the residents are coming out of Bruce County for that. Outside of Wingham, the closest chemotherapy treatment centers would be in Owen Sound, Stratford, and London. So Wingham is certainly well positioned geographically to serve the northern part of Huron and Perth counties and the southern parts of Bruce Grey and part of Wellington. We get a few patients out of that area. And Bernie Bailey would like to talk about the campaign that's supporting this. Thank you.
Hello, and again, thank you for listening to us. The campaign success. The campaign success, as you can see, we've outlined how we feel we can achieve that at different levels to come to our $4 million, and we're hoping Bruce County will be able to help us with that, one of those levels. Campaign timeline is 18 months until our goal is met. The campaign pledge, we are going to give a period of 5 years to pay it if you exceed $500,000. As a former counselor, and as we all know in this room, times are tough. There's a lot of cutbacks, but we're willing to work with your staff on timelines and for any contribution that you could find in your budget this year. The donation recognition program, and again, as Carl said, you will have this in a package later. This just recognizes everybody that's through time that has given to our hospital, and it is a wall, and we put the names up there in a way of saying thank you. Our hospital, our team, Mark Foxon came on as chairman, the campaign chairman. Bart Cameron is deputy chair. Myself, of course, for municipalities. Jenny Hogervorst is business and industry. Ian Montgomery is chair for personal gifts. Andy McBride, community engagement. Scott Miller is our public awareness. Steve Tiffin is a canvasser. And Nicole Utzi is, of course, campaign manager. So it's our hospital, our future. There are over 200 jobs directly involved in the hospital. I think we all, and especially at a county level, I'm sure realize that the hospitals are a main driver for economic development. When you read through this, you'll realize that whether it be the Bruce that needs many hospitals, should, God forsake, something terrible happen, they need us there, along with many industries. I'm to let you go on, Carol. So this, again, is just ending our program. And we're not going to take much time because time is money. But I would like to say in ending that hospitals are not like counties. We don't have the road end at Bruce and start at Huron and have to finance. We have 32% of our patients coming from Bruce County. And on another personal note, if we don't support our hospitals, they will be like our schools. You will see them start to disappear because the tiers above you believe that big can't fail. And the only way big can't fail is if you get rid of little. So we want to make sure that in the future, years down the road, we don't have one hospital for all of Bruce and one hospital for all of Huron. So we are asking you guys to seriously think this over, put us in your budget, and please talk to us. We would appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Are there any questions from council members? Yes, Ann?
So the Eady family does go to Wingham Hospital.
Thank you.
And so I was just looking at your $4 million goal, and does that include the old school renovations or that part, or is it going to be kind of self-funded? And my other question is, are you moving the doctor's clinic, some of it over, did you say over to the old school, all of it, or and then will the doctor's clinic just become part of the hospital?
So I'll answer the last part first. The physicians and family health team, where the physicians are now, is overcrowded and not great space. It was great at the time, but they've outgrown that, and some of them are in the hospital themselves. So all of that is going into the former gymnasium in the school, and then where we're creating clinical space on the first floor and the boardroom and my office and other areas disappearing, we'll recreate that in the former medical clinic, because it's relatively easy to create a boardroom as opposed to clinical space. In terms of the total spend, we've got $15 or $16 million planned in spending over the next 3 years between the ministry-approved renovations, the diagnostic imaging, and then the school project. The school project's about $4 million of that. The rest of it is being spent in the hospital. And so between ministry funds, hospital funds, the amount we're borrowing, and the community campaign, that's where the bundle of money is coming from for the $15 million.
I'm glad to have the clarification on the amount of money, because I was just comparing to what we've been told we need in Kincardine, and it's more like 15 million basic that the community has to raise. So I was interested in the amount. Thank you.
Yeah, it gets a little confusing because the ministry comes to the table with their $4 or $5 million, and then the community comes or is expected to pick up the difference. And so sometimes it's hard to reconcile the messaging that comes out of the Ministry of Health, because it's well, you know, it's wrapped up in the political announcement. Communities in this day and age pick up, I would say, the greater portion of the burden for any type of capital equipment within a hospital, particularly on the equipment side. The ministry doesn't pay for any of that. So that diagnostic imaging equipment's about $3 million, and there's no ministry money coming for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Mike?
Thanks, Dave. It was probably in there, but can you just update me again on the timeline so that your fundraising campaign, how long that will be, when you plan to start construction and when you finish?
So we've got construction underway right now. The former boardroom area is all ripped apart and we're creating rehab space in there. The tender for the school renovations is out on the market right now and closes in a week and a half or so. So we've got construction underway right now. The final tender package we expect to submit to the Ministry of Health before the end of January. So of that $15 million, about a third of it's in process right now in terms of the construction. The school construction will start as soon as we award the tender, so later this spring, and then the ministry-funded portion will start once we get their approval, which we expect in June, July, summertime. So the work's underway right now, but the different pieces are timed out over the course of the next year. It'll all have been started. I will be very disappointed if it isn't all underway a year from now. But I would expect within the next 6 months it'll all be started. I can't promise you when the ministry will make their send their approval.
Are there any other questions from council? Well, thank you very much, Carl and Bernie. It's good to have you here and present the information. We will refer this to corporate services and make a decision on what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But it's a very important project for sure.
Yeah. We do appreciate your time and consideration.
Okay. I would ask, we're going to have James next. I would ask the media if they would stay. Would the media stay in to hear James before you talk to these folks? Could you stay around just for a little bit? Appreciate that. And James, we'll call on you.
Thanks very much. I don't know how keen they are to listen to me over there, John. Good morning and Happy New Year. Also with me today is Christine John, who is responsible for our community investment and sponsorship program over on the other side there. And so Christine's obviously one of the most popular people at Bruce Power, because if you want money or sponsorship, you have to talk to Christine. I have a few slides today, and I appreciate the opportunity right at the beginning of the year to provide a bit of a sort of a company update. And I really want to focus today on really 2 or 3 primary things. The first being a bit of a review of 2015, but more importantly, a bit of a look ahead to 2016 in light of the announcement we made in December. We ended 2015 with continued strong safety performance, achieving 13 million hours worked without a lost time injury. And, so we continue to, on the site, not only, see good operational performance, but really strong industrial safety performance. In terms of 2015 highlights, I think there's a few important items to flag for people. This is the 3rd year in a row I've been able to come to County Council in either January or February and indicate we've had another record output year on the site, so that's always a really good story to tell, in particular for our owners who have invested so much in the assets over the last 15 years. 2015, we had another record output year for the site, and that exceeded previous records of 1991, 2013, and 2014. So, that's a really good sign that, we're continuing to achieve very high output from the site. And that even takes into account the periods of time where we have to reduce our generation to meet market demand. So that's actually pure output that was used on the system. And I know a number of members of County Council were able to join us for a briefing we had in mid-December on our transaction with the ISO, very transformational deal for the site. Gives us the opportunity to have a commercial framework that could see us run the site to as late as 2064. The thing that's very important for us in 2016 and moving forward is it's great to have a transaction like this in place. Obviously, it's a relief in many ways, but it's also important we don't get complacent. We have the opportunity to operate our site and invest and be there till 2064, but we're only able to achieve that if we do what we said we would do in the deal. And, that means good, safe, reliable operations day in and day out, and it also means we need to continue to improve our ability to execute projects such as major component refurbishment. So, it's great to have that sigh of relief, but it is also important we're always mindful of the fact we are in a competitive environment, and that's simply a commercial framework that allows us to achieve that if we continue to deliver. As County Council is aware, we achieved a 5-year license renewal this year, which was a very important milestone. I appreciate all the municipalities in the area and the county for your interventions in the hearings. It makes a big difference. And I know many of you are aware of our new fire training facility, which is now fully operational. And I think, this year in 2016, we really look forward to, moving forward on the community element of that. Last year was about, commissioning the facility, getting it operating, and now it's a facility we want to, ensure is available to the region as a whole. I know many of you were able to join us for a celebration dinner of our international review that we had that wrapped up in December by the IAEA. Very successful review, very prestigious for Canada generally. And we look forward to that report being finalized in the coming months, and taking from that report areas for improvement. That's really what these reviews are about, but also the IAEA identified a number of strengths which will come out when the report is released in a number of months that other utilities around the world can build on. And the last item is one I really did want to flag also for County Council, and that is a tremendous amount of work went on in 2015 on emergency preparedness. That goes, everything from, the work we do with the province and other drills and preparations to KI tablet distribution to working support from the counties and Bruce in particular on the community safety guide and those things. And I think those are very important because we have a real advantage being an organization that operates in a small community because we can be very one-on-one and really grassroots with people on these types of issues and educate and ask questions. And, a lot of nuclear plants that are near urban areas, and they do a very effective job of also communicating with their communities, but it's much more difficult when you have millions of people around your plant. So I really do appreciate the continued efforts on this front, and I think it gives the public a lot of confidence. In terms of looking ahead to this year and where we are as of today, we have all of our units today operating at full power. We have all 8 of our units providing flexible generation. Over the Christmas holidays, as you can imagine, we had, I think Mitch picked the wrong time to go away because the weather really wasn't that bad the last couple of weeks here. I'm assuming somewhere warm. But when we have changes in weather like that, what happens is that we have to flex our units more. And so all of our 8 units continue to provide that flexible generation. Obviously, over the Christmas period, there was a lot less demand for electricity than there would have been in a really cold winter. So they used that a tremendous amount over the holidays. And with our new deal in place, as of January 1st, we're operating as one site, one price for the whole site. And that's about $65 a megawatt for every megawatt we produce. Outages are always an interest. I think one of the things we talked about at the session on the deal debrief was even though a refurbishment is not starting till 2020, that we are starting to invest a lot of money in life extension. And that starts on January 15th with Unit 8 undertaking almost a 100-day outage. Several months long, and that's a very significant investment we're making in Unit 8. Unit 8 will be the last unit to be refurbished, so we're investing a lot of money in the unit now to get it there. And then we have a very large outage campaign starting with Bruce A in the second quarter, followed by Unit 7 in the fall. That is, and as those outages progress, we'll certainly give a sense of people on the scale of those. But, you're looking at an average of at least 1,500 extra people working on the Bruce Power site during that on an average basis during all of those outage campaigns. It's very significant. I won't spend too much time on this, but as I know people are aware from our transaction, we do have a long-term now refurbishment schedule. I think one of the things that's important to flag in terms of 2016 is, even though we just got past a license renewal last year, we do plan as a company to go forward probably sometime in 2018 and look for a license that will take us into the refurbishment period. We probably will end up going back to the CNSC early, and that will be something we'll want to engage both the community and municipal governments on, so you're aware of what we're doing in the licensing process and environmental items in particular. We ended the year again with strong support. I think when John Peevers was here last time, 81% was a consistent in the public tracking, and we did a lot of public opinion polling right after our announcement, and actually support went up as people heard more and more about our announcement. This is where electricity prices stand as of January 1st. You can see on-peak, mid-peak, off-peak prices, the average residential price, the average price of electricity overall, the price for OPG Nuclear and Bruce Nuclear. You can see really affordable supply from nuclear from both Bruce and OPG. So I think this is a very important item for us to continue to flag for consumers in Ontario, that as people obviously have questions about electricity prices, they see that without our output the situation would be far worse. And as I mentioned, 2016, we want to have a significant conversation with the community on what the long-term plans look like, what that means. That'll be through forums like this, but it'll also be through, there's a tremendous amount of interest, and I know we're planning to get a meeting together in the next couple of weeks with the CAO of the county here, the CAO of a couple of the municipalities in Grey and Huron, to talk about how we can look at in a more kind of cohesive way the economic development opportunities for the entire region. And I do appreciate the county of Bruce as always taking a leadership role in coordinating that kind of meeting for us, because we get a lot of municipalities approaching us sort of individually, and I think this dialogue is going to be really helpful at a sort of a more consolidated level to say, how do we position the region, right? Because when you're looking at vendors who are doing work at Bruce, they don't look at this as the municipality of Saugeen Shores or North Bruce or South Bruce. They really look at it as a regional item, and I think it's important for us to position the regional attributes of what we offer, and like to say a raising tide raises all boats. As I mentioned previously, we'll continue to discuss the regulatory items we'll have to advance now that we have the commercial deal. We obviously have to go make sure we get regulatory approval. I still think, and I think this would be a bullet I could put on every year for the next 10 years, I think there'll always be a focus on environmental issues. There'll always be a focus on emergency preparedness. And that's just an ongoing dialogue we'll continue to have. We will continue this year to roll out. We plan to not only spend about $1.4 million through Christine's program in community investment and sponsorship, but we've launched new Aboriginal Community Investment Fund. We've launched a new Environment and Sustainability Fund. So we're probably in the range of about $2 million this year when you put all that together. And then finally, it's really tough to believe this, but in 2016, they're reviewing the long-term energy plan again. It's a 3-year review they do of the plan. We'll obviously want to make sure that we put our best foot forward with the long-term energy plan. I think the Bruce role in the long-term energy plan is fairly secure, given the fact we just signed a transaction. But I think it's very important for the nuclear industry that even though we're progressing with these investments, to not take for granted that support. I think we tend to find that it's whenever we are not putting our story forward that other people fill that gap. And so even though we have a deal and the units are performing well and we're moving forward, I think it's very important for us to keep our message out there so somebody else doesn't fill the gap. So that's all I have in terms of an update, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions from council? Yes, Ann.
So I'm interested in the new fire training facility and how that will be available to surrounding municipalities? Or maybe you don't have that worked out yet, but maybe you have some general ideas?
Yeah, and it's a good question. I think one of the things are, so the goal in kind of the last 4 months of the year was to really, or the last half of the year was to commission the facility, use it, get our staff trained with it. And the big issue for us is determining how we want to manage that in sort of a coordinated way. And so our emergency services group is going to be reaching out to sort of local fire chiefs and in the region more broadly. We've had a ton of requests for using it. And what we just need to do is to make sure we do that in a managed way. So, how do we make sure we have staff available if it's, after hours related to that, all those kind of arrangements. But there's a significant amount of interest in it. And by the way, it's not just from our immediate area. We're getting requests from all over the province as to, hey, can we use this state-of-the-art facility because it's something else. So it's about using that in a coordinated way. So I think my guess would be by the end of the quarter, there'll be sort of more of a formal approach about thinking how do we want to manage this. Obviously, there's a tremendous amount of benefit for us in the region because we have a mutual aid arrangements with volunteer fire departments in the area. We often provide mutual aid when there's fires in the municipality, so that kind of coordination is important. But I don't have any details in terms of this is specifically how it'll work. I think our folks are trying to kind of grasp with how many people could we allow to use it externally a year, and how would we manage that? How do you triage it? Where are the first areas we want to go? And obviously we want to start at home first.
I'm glad to hear at home first. Our firemen have always, and ladies have been talking about how we need better fire training facilities. So this, I'm hoping will help fill that gap that we have. Okay, and so they do a lot of their training in the evening. So you mentioned that you might be flexible on time, just because most of them have day jobs.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, obviously, if we're looking at home first, they're mostly all volunteer fire departments, right? And so we need that's really the dynamic, is how do you accommodate that? Obviously, now that's a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing is we do most of our training during the day, so it means that if we're accommodating local fire training, it's not conflicting with our own training, right? Challenges, we just need to find a way to. We obviously need to supervise the facility and be there and that, but I think it's going to be a real positive, and for our local volunteer firefighters to be able to train and use a facility of that nature, I think it's good for the whole community.
Thanks. Well, we in the municipality of Kincardine always appreciate your help with emergency management and that area.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, James, I want to thank you and Christine personally this morning for the tremendous contribution you've made to Brockton's soccer project. We had the check presentation before council out here, and that's why we were some of us late getting in. Bruce Power's always been supportive of the communities around the site, and very, very much appreciated. So you've made a lot of people in Brockton happy this morning, and you have a happy mayor up here as well. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad you're happy, because I didn't think the mayor was going to leave the meeting without a yes answer when he came to the sponsorship committee. So thank you for bringing it to our attention, and congratulations, by the way, I said this to the radio reporter, congratulations to Brockton. I mean, it's a regional facility, but sometimes Bruce Power gets a lot of attention, and we're thrilled to play the role we do, because we do. We're able to invest a large amount of dollars in some of these things. But, projects like this, I think it's also important to recognize, and I mentioned this to the media, it's phenomenal, the small and medium-sized businesses in these towns, the level of contributions they make relative to the size of their businesses. It's absolutely amazing, and I think Brockton is just a great example of that. So we're proud to do our part and with everybody in the community. And thank you for bringing it to our attention.
And just to say, the site will be called the Bruce Power Soccer Complex. Regional Soccer Complex, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll move on to officer reports. Nothing at this time. Inquiries and announcements. Thing I would like to mention, you notice the gingerbread houses out in the entranceway. There was a Christmas, or competition held before Christmas. Were asked to submit gingerbread houses, so they're all out there. I want you to take notice, but I'm going to ask our CEO Kelly to maybe give a little explanation and who won and so forth.
Be happy to. The entries that are in the atrium are really, I would encourage everyone to take a few minutes to look at them. There was a joint competition just on I think it was the Monday. It seemed appropriate to judge on the first day of winter, the 21st of December. And there were two aspects to the competition. Was not the recipient of that. Oh, sorry. The recipient of the ugly sweater was actually Kathy Hope in housing under the social services portfolio. And then the second aspect to the competition was the gingerbread contest, and the entries are really difficult. But the entry that was deemed to be the winner was also from under the social child care group that had done the entry, and it builds on the Explore the Bruce marketing initiative that the county has done, and they really are all outstanding, and that one in particular really drew in a lot of aspects for the region. So I would encourage everyone, if you have the time, to take a peek at them. They really are stunning.
Thanks, Kelly, and congratulations to the winners. We'll move on to committee minutes.
Committee minutes were circulated, and I have a motion moved by Mr. Eagleson, seconded by Mr. McKeever, that the minutes of the following committees be approved. December 3rd, 2015, Corporate Services Committee, Finance and Property Division, Emergency Services Committee, Homes Committee, Museum Committee, and Social Services and Housing Committee. December 17th, 2015, Corporate Services Committee, Finance and Property Division, Corporate Services Committee, Human Resources Division, Highways Committee, and Planning and Development Committee.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. There aren't any motions. We'll move on to the requesting of municipalities pass a resolution in support of collaboration between the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and the Union of Quebec Municipalities to enhance support municipal climate action in our provinces.
I do have a motion moved by Mrs. Eady, seconded by Mr. McKeever, that the County of Bruce supports the collaboration of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and the Union of Quebec Municipalities to enhance municipal support climate action in our provinces, to help meet reduction targets and to reduce emissions in our communities and improve resilience in local economies. We call on you to work in partnership with local government and give municipalities adequate, stable, and long-term funding resources to invest in greenhouse gas reduction initiatives in our communities, such as public transit and active transportation, public and private building energy efficiency, water conservation, planning development, and other programs. Recognize municipal projects that reduce greenhouse gases for offset credits in cap and trade programs. Provide dedicated funding for climate change adaptation to help municipalities provide resilient infrastructure to keep our economies and communities functioning and productive, and provide tools to help facilitate and transfer knowledge regarding greenhouse gas reduction and climate adaptation projects.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Unfinished business? Nothing.
None to report.
Bylaws.
A motion moved by Mrs. Eady, seconded by Mr. Buckle, that the following bylaws be approved. 2016-1, about to repeal bylaw 2012-54, about to authorize the execution of an agreement between the Corporation of the County of Bruce and the Grey Bruce Health Unit for the delivery of dental administration services under Ontario Works. 2006-2, about to authorize temporary borrowing of money to meet the current expenditures for the year 2016. 2016-3, about to adopt Amendment Number 188 to the County of Bruce Official Plan. 2016-4, about to adopt Amendment Number 199 to the County of Bruce Official Plan. 2016-5, about to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the County of Bruce at its meeting held the 7th day of January 2016.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Moved by Mrs. Eady, seconded by Ms. Jackson, that we do now adjourn to meet Thursday, February 4th, 2016 at 9:30 a.m.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.